targeting the factories where he was forced to work. But he still loved them, perhaps because aeroplanes were a sign that change was coming. And once he was in the concentration camps, Yossi was desperate for change. He was also fascinated by these powerful machines. How could a huge piece of metal, with all these people on board, take off and then land without breaking into pieces? He glanced at the faces of the two boys closest to him. Didn't it worry them? The boys in question were called Mordecai and Leo. Both of them were 15 years old, like Yossi, and both seemed to be focusing so hard on what they were doing that they were barely aware of bouncing around in the clouds. Mordecai, short with dark hair, was reading an English book. Yossi admired him so much because he could hold a conversation in German, Russian, Czech, and Polish. He also admired that Mordecai could concentrate on reading even now as they hurtled towards the ground. Tall, blonde-haired Leo was busy too. For most of the flight, he had been trying to get at a spool of wire that was jammed down the side of the fuselage. Yossi knew that Leo would plan to use the wire or trade it with someone. He was always on the lookout for any opportunity. Now, the plane lunged suddenly to the left, and some of the children called out in fear. Yossi dragged himself to the window again to look out. Squinting in the bright light, he could see a range of mountains ahead, blue sparkling water beyond, and miles of green fields. They were out of the clouds, over England. This was the place where they had been told they would be safe, a place where there would be no German soldiers and no concentration camps. The only thing that Yossi knew about England was a distant memory of his father's bicycle. It was very special, so special that the tyres needed to be imported from another country. On the tyres, moulded into the rubber, were the words, "Made in England." "What can you see out of the window?" Leo asked Yossi. "What does it look like?" "I see paradise," Yossi replied. "Tell us more," Talia said. Talia was a young Polish woman who had come to take the children from a concentration camp in Europe to England and refuge. Yossi understood why she was asking. Talia wanted him to reassure this group of children who had spent the last 6 years terrified of what would happen to them next. "It is beautiful," Yossi told the other children, turning to smile at them. "There are fields and roads and small villages, just like back home in Poland." Yossi stopped speaking once he saw some of the children frown at the mention of their homeland. "But this is England," Yossi said quickly. "They're going to feed us. They're going to give us clothes. We'll be safe, won't we, Talia?" Talia nodded. "What if it's not like that?" Mordecai asked Yossi quietly, once they were sat together again. "It will be like that, Mordy." But Yossi's words were lost as the plane's engines began to roar ever louder, and he felt a rush of fear. The aeroplane was about to land. Was England a nice place? Would it be safe? "How do we know?" Mordecai asked again, his voice tense. 2. Yossi was not really sure that he and Mordecai would be safe when the plane finally landed in England. They had been lied to by the Nazis so many times about where they were going and what would happen next that it was impossible for him to truly feel safe. He reached into his pocket and touched the bar of chocolate that they had been given by the pilot before takeoff, and remembered the day it had all begun. Yossi and his father had cycled into town to buy bread and meat, as they did once a week for the special Sabbath meal they ate together as a family every Friday night. His mother and sisters...